What's up YouTube? Today I'm going to be talking about a thing called Nofap. For those of you who don't know what this is, Nofapping is when you completely eliminate masturbation from your life. That means porn, masturbation, orgasm. Why would you do this? Well, people have been lied to for a lot of times, saying that it's healthy, it has benefits to it, it releases stress, and I completely disagree with that now. Before I started this, I used to probably masturbate around 3 times a day on average, every single day, probably from about 14 years old, and now I do it around, well, I don't anymore. And how I sort of came to get into this was, I used to browse a forum called Reddit, and it was, in my newsfeed it said about benefits of masturbation, and I'd always been one to experiment with things. Like I'd done vegetarian diet before. I sort of got into Wim Hof method for a bit, which was cold showering every day and just basically pushing my body. So it was something that I wanted to try. I don't like to write things off before I've actually tried them, so I thought I'd give it a go. And I can definitely say there is benefits to this. Firstly, a massive increase in energy. I barely sleep now, literally about 4 to 5 hours a night. And if you would have known me a few years ago, I was sleeping maybe 11 to 12 on average. And that might not be just from the Nofap alone, that could be again getting older, no longer going through puberty, or my body isn't changing as much. But even a month before I started this, I was sleeping maybe 8 to 9 hours, and now it's about 4 to 5. I literally wake up after 5 hours sleep and I can't get back to sleep again. In some ways it's actually caused me a little bit of a problem with insomnia, because it's always nice, you know, when you wake up an hour or two before your alarm and you just want to sleep that little bit extra. I can literally no longer do that. Once I'm up, I'm awake, that's it. Pornography, things like social media, Facebook, and just, you know, sexual images of women are literally everywhere you look. And these slowly have an effect on you, probably pornography more than actual, you know, just Instagram and adverts and things like that. But our culture, as you've probably heard before, sex sells, and it's literally everywhere you look. I no longer watch porn at all now, and I probably could say I was addicted to it. Whenever I was bored, it's just the easiest thing to do, you know. It's 2 seconds away on the internet, it's free, it's instant gratification, and I think instant gratification is the key for Nofap, because that's what it is. You're essentially tricking your biological clock between actually pursuing a woman in the real world, or a male, depending on your sexuality, or again you're heterosexual. And you're skipping that hard work of actually having to meet someone, get to know them, build that sexual interest between the two of you. So then, you know, waiting a few days or going on a few dates to actually leading to having real sex. And scientific studies have proved that there is a difference on the brain between masturbation and sex, how it affects your brain differently. And I think when you constantly pursue porn, or use it as an escape, or use it as a shortcut, you're actually hindering your real sex life, because when you go on Nofap, it almost forces you to go out there into the real world and actually pursue the opposite sex. I don't know whether that's like the sexual drive that you have from it, but I can tell you your sex drive will go a lot higher. And it's kind of like a catch-22 in some ways, because although your sex drive increases, you start to view women in a different way. I no longer see them as just sex objects now. Whereas when I was watching porn, I think it dehumanized women and almost has made them a sexual object, and now I kind of see them for their personality, whether I'm actually attracted to them or not. Even if they're good looking and I speak to them and their personality puts me off, I won't just view them as an object, you know, of someone I can just get laid with. I actually pick a bit more wisely now, and if anything, sex is no longer a big deal in my life. Even in ancient Egyptian times, there was these pharaoh masters, and they would abstain from masturbation because they thought semen retention gave them the life energy. And I can see why. When you do this and you get to around day 20 to 30, your energy levels just go through the roof, and it changes you. It really, really does change you. It makes you feel different. And when I first started out, I relapsed a couple of times, and people would say to me, like in work and stuff, about it, what's wrong with you? You seem different today, or your energy's changed. And I think it was because of that, and I didn't feel as healthy, I didn't feel as full of life anymore, and I was more than happy to just waste a day away. But I don't think it's something that's going to completely change your life. I think it's a stepping stone. Like all things, like quitting drinking, things like that, that it's not going to completely 360 turn your life around, but it's a necessary process to improve your life if that habit is affecting your life in a bad way, which I think porn does, as you can waste hours watching it, trying to find the right video, the most perfect video. You know, you do it once, then you want to do it again and again, and it can just take up a lot of time, and the energy you save from semen retention and Nofap and just not wasting it on porn, you can put into other aspects of your life to improve it. Things that will actually matter in the long term, and as I said previously, instant gratification is the key here. That's what you want to avoid. Social media, get notifications on it, like Facebook, that little icon that comes up at the top, the little red notification, again, instant gratification. It's a very new thing. It's probably in the past 50 years this has come about, that we can just go to the shop and buy something and be instantly gratified from it, instead of actually working for it, a long-term goal.